Hello there folks, and how is it going? And welcome back to another video. We are still in Patagonia and it is incredible, just incredible. It's just incredible. I don't like, there's very few words I have that will help describe the feelings of absolute wonder and amazement I have. But today's video we are heading to a place called Glacier Grey, or Glacier Grey, like the colour, and then we are going to actually come back up to a viewpoint that's up along the road here to potentially give us like a really nice sweeping vista over this property and big hotel that we're essentially at. It's a wonderful, gorgeous place. It has this beautiful river. I'll show it to you later. But for now, I'm going to head back over to my camera because I did find a nice jetty, and I've been taking a time lapse of the Cuernos, which I hope you can see here. So if that time lapse turns out any good and any of the photographs turn out any decent, I'll pop them up for you on the screen now, and we shall walk through them, classic ASMR photography lab style. And look, you're getting pictures pretty much at the start of the video, so that's a plus. But for now, I need to grab the camera because we are heading off now to head to this glacier, and I will see you there. Welcome friends to the ASMR photography studio, and welcome to this absolutely wonderful adventure we find ourselves on today. For these first two images, I am thrilled to say that they turned out much better than I originally thought they were going to, because the light was quite harsh. It was a very overcast day, but every so often the cloud would just break through and cast this beautiful light on the autumn colour, and I was super glad to be standing there and be able to photograph that colour as it popped off the side of this mountain. Now my only wish is that I was like 1,000,000 feet taller so I could get above that tree line. To me it kind of adds a nice kind of foreground, a nice silhouette, and leads us then into the frame. Really happy with how these ones turned out. One of the marvelous advantages of shooting time-lapse is that you come away with 1,200 pictures or something, and you then have carte blanche to be able to sift through those and find one that really stands out to you. As much as I enjoy the time-lapse, I think it turned out very nice. For me, just this one frame from that time-lapse really jumps off the screen at me, and I am super happy with how this one turned out. I processed it in a very kind of dark and moody kind of vibe in contrast to the previous two we were just looking at, but I'm really delighted with how this one turned out. A real kind of abstracty massive scale to it or something. I'm really happy with how this one turned out, and these mountains, they just keep giving and giving and giving, so thank you big mountains. Officially reached the windy part of Patagonia. It's been eerily calm as far as Brendan's concerned here, but now we have come down to this glacier park and the winds have certainly picked up, so hopefully you can hear me. We are on our way now to the viewpoint of the glacier to take advantage of that and hopefully get some nice pictures of glaciers. Love a good glacier. So onwards we trek, and hopefully, if we can, also capture some nice fall colours, because the trail that leads to this glacier is supposedly very nice too. So let's have a look and see where we go. Well, this place is wild. I've had to come in and find shelter because the wind, I don't think I've ever felt wind like this. It's absolutely crazy. If I had hair, I can assure you it would be blowing. But nonetheless, this place is crazy. It's difficult to even try and get a sharp image. It's just so windy, like crazy windy. Now, granted, we certainly are trying. And I think I maybe captured one of my favorite images from the entire trip. Maybe. We'll have to wait and see. But nonetheless, it is magnificent here. And the beautiful autumn colors. I really hope you can see the bit of light that's on top of the mountain here, because really, like, scenes of just dappled light that you can pick out. I've got my 100 to 400 on, and you can really zoom in and capture that. It's just changing so fast with the wind, but it is absolutely crazy. So but nonetheless, we're having a really great time. It's so beautiful. But I think we're pretty much ready to kind of head back across the madness that is this beach and make our way slowly on to the next spot. So let's continue on. Beautiful. So when we came off the gorgeous trail that took us down to this incredibly windy beach, we were greeted with such epicness. It was so epic. It was like Lord of the Rings. I couldn't get over it, and everybody was just like in oh my god mode. It was absolutely stunning. Pictures, oh man, they just don't do it any kind of justice. I'm super happy with how these particular frames turned out. Just capture this kind of grandeur to the whole scene. Oh, it was so beautiful. It was so windy, and without setting up your tripod, shooting handheld, it was like a good challenge, and one we all embraced. Really delighted with how these particular frames turned out. So again, like Mordor, I whistle in your head now the theme from Lord of the Rings, and you'll get some sense of what it was like to be there for sure. And this is a very simple scene, like I mentioned, in relation to just capturing that light as it danced across the sky and illuminated these wonderful pockets of colour that just popped off the screen. Such a wonderful thing to see, and zoomed all the way in at 400. It still wasn't close as this. I did crop in a fair bit for this image too, just to eliminate any of the sky that was off on the top right hand corner of the frame. I just really wanted it to be just this minimalist kind of scene. It's very abstract. It's like, I don't know what to make of it. It's but I'm super happy with how it turned out. Oh wow, this one for me is one of my favorite pictures that I've taken. I love this. I don't know what it is. For me, it just encapsulates what it's like being in Patagonia. You've got this windswept tree as it's clinging on for dear life on the mountains, and then there's this absolutely colossal scene in the background. And the way the light is just caught, and the contrast between the bright background and the beautiful dark silhouette of that tree as it's windswept in the frame. Beautiful undulating foreground that it sits on is, oh wow, I absolutely love this photograph. Really, I think it's one of my favorites that I've taken ever, and certainly one of the best that I've taken on this particular trip. It stopped me in my tracks as we were walking along the beach, and I just felt so compelled to photograph it. I did take a few different variations of frames, but this landscape orientation one really just caught the scene so well, and I'm just so thrilled with it. I really do love this image. Well, so one of the most invaluable tools anyone can have in a situation like this is somebody like our wonderful driver, Eduardo. Eduardo, you are an absolute gem. He turned us onto this spot that, quite frankly, is probably quite unknown. It's just off the road and very hidden. God. Hello, folks! I'm Santa Claus! At least everybody now at this stage knows the hello there folks catchphrase. So, you know, I'm coming up in the world, you know. But this view we have right now is just absolutely spectacular. Beautiful river leading us towards these colossal mountains. and there is some wonderful movement in the clouds as well, but it's quite windy, so whether we can get a sharp exposure or not in this situation will remain to be seen, but nonetheless we shall try. Let's go. Here's the first frame I took from this particular vantage point. Now I'm including this purely as a exercise in showing you how I think about balance. As this image sits in front of you now, you'll notice that on the right hand side there's just a lot more space than there is on the left hand side. After I took this picture I was like, okay, it's an incredible scene, don't get me wrong, but the balance is just off ever so slightly, and as we progress on you'll see that I was able to kind of figure that out on the spot and adjust accordingly. It's always worth your while, even though the scenes are so gorgeous in front of you and the light is fleeting, always worth your while just to give a quick second just to glance, even whether it's on the back of the screen or through the viewfinder, just to make sure things are nice and balanced or at a place where you are happy with them. And for me, like I say, just the balance is ever so slightly off. I could have obviously cropped to take away some of that side on the right, but again I just wanted to include this as like an example of, you know, finding balance in your frames. So what are you doing with your hand there?
I'm making a grad filter.
Okay, and explain.
Well, it's creating a grad filter. I don't know how to explain it. It's a 30-second exposure. If you put your black hand in front of it, it's like it's not exposing at all in the top. So for the equivalent of a one-stop grad for 30-second exposure, you have to cover it for 15 seconds, 8 seconds for two-stop grad. Well, no, that's the opposite. Let me math this out a bit. 15 plus 8, 20 seconds or so for two stops, 25 seconds for three stops, and you have a grad filter. You don't even need grads. Grads are garbage.
I can see it.
Look at it compared to the one before. It's the exact same. It's the exact same. Because I didn't do it long enough. No, it works.
That sounds like too much math for me, man.
You don't have to math it that hard. One stop 15 of exposed light, two stops 8, three stops 4 seconds. That means if I got 30 seconds, I go like this. It's exposing 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I start blocking the light. And you move your hand a little bit so it's like graduated. You can use your flip-flop or your hat. Baller. Except the light's gone in my foreground.
You probably can't see it on the back of the camera, but it actually worked. So, you know, there you go. Pro tip.
Science. Science, bitch.
So as Brendan continues to wave his hand in front of his camera lens and his camera, I captured this frame, and oh man, do I love this picture. Between the water in the foreground just taking us through the frame into this absolutely colossal scene in the background, and that bit of light that's on the mountaintops and the streaks in the cloud from the long exposure. Oh man, this is the stuff photography dreams are made of, and I am thrilled with how this one all came together. I really do love this image. Now, I did have a graduated ND filter on the lens. I didn't have to wave my hand in front of the camera. It's a good tip though, it's a good tip. Oh wow, I'm really delighted with how this particular frame came together. Really love it. So even though we've lost that light in the foreground, we still have this wonderful opportunity to capture the last lingering bit of light in the sky, and using this gorgeous river that's just snaking through the frame from the bottom left. It's just so magic. And that last bit of light that's kissing the top of those mountains really ties this whole thing together. And of course, having a slightly long exposure as well really helps you add an extra layer of drama to the frame by slowing down the shutter and streaking those clouds across the sky. Really, really love this picture. My only wish is that that light from earlier on was still across the foreground, just to give an extra bit of kind of pizzazz. But nonetheless, nature at its absolute finest shall rule its own roost.
Wow, wow, wow. What an absolutely magnificent end to such a wonderful adventure we had today. Wild winds, crazy glaciers that I may not have actually photographed correctly, and maybe 2 of the finest images I've photographed on this trip so far, but we shall see. Well, obviously you guys would have seen them had with my classic ASMR photography lifestyle, but nonetheless, today is over, and tomorrow we make the journey to El Chaltén, which is going to be a long drive. We're going to be photographing in the morning time, and then we make the long drive up to Argentina. So that's going to be epic. Look at this absolute magic. I'm going to miss this, but tomorrow hopefully we can have another day with this as well. So anyways, as always folks, if you like the video, then please do hit that like button, and if you do fancy following along for more adventures, then absolutely hit that subscribe button, and I will see you on the next one. Take it easy everybody. Cheers.